Live from WRAL News Headquarters in Raleigh, your #1 source for local news. WRAL News, coverage you can count on.
Just hours ago, Wake County officially launched a new multi-million-dollar initiative to save affordable housing. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Renee Chu.
And I'm Jeff Hogan. Wake County commissioners say investors are purchasing housing units at a faster pace and raising rents. WRAL's Laura Levine explains how this new move is opening the door for more urgent solutions.
Wake County leaders called this new initiative announced today game-changing. As the city of Raleigh continues to grow, the number of affordable housing units is dwindling. This new fund will allow them to save more than 3,000 units over the next 15 years. Wake County and city leaders gathered at the Wake County Justice Center to officially launch the Wake County Preservation Fund. For more than a decade, Wake County has lost 59% of its housing units with rent below $750 and 40% of units with rent below $1,000. The county has now partnered with several banks to create an over $60 million fund that will provide multifamily developers below market capital to acquire and preserve existing rental units. And with the state of the current housing crisis, leaders call this move life-changing for families struggling to keep up.
At the current rates, someone who makes minimum wage in Wake County would need to work 114 hours per week to afford a modest one-bedroom unit at fair market price. This is not acceptable to us.
And following this announcement today, they plan to host a developers forum for anyone who wants to learn more about how to access these loans. In addition, the city of Raleigh has also committed $4 million to use the same efforts across city limits. Laura Levine, WRAL News, Raleigh.
Also new at noon, we have learned more about the person who was hit and killed last night in North Raleigh. WRAL's Brian Schrader is tracking this investigation and the charges the driver faces now. Brian.
Jeff, we learned this morning that 65-year-old Jose Mejia died in that crash on Fox Road. We brought this to you as breaking news last night at 6 on WRAL. Police say that 51-year-old Wilson Holliday was driving while impaired. Just before 5 o'clock, he ran off the right side of Fox Road and struck Mejia, who died later at the hospital. Police say that Holliday then overcorrected, crossed all lanes of Fox Road and struck a tree, and that's when a passenger in Holliday's truck was badly injured. Holliday faces several charges. His first appearances this afternoon at 2 o'clock, and WRAL will be there. Look for updates beginning today at 4 on WRAL News. Jeff.
All right, Brian, thanks for that update. No word yet on charges in a crash that shut down I-885 in Durham for part of the morning. I-885 North is back open now after a tractor-trailer driver fell asleep at the wheel and crashed into a road sign. It happened around 1 a.m. near exit 10 for Highway 70. Investigators say the truck went through the guardrail, hit a sign, flipped over, and went into a ditch. That driver was taken to the hospital.
A cold front is on the way this afternoon. A few showers may come along with it. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at who has the best chance of seeing showers today.
Here's a live look at Dill Doppler 5000 radar, where almost nothing is falling. If you watch here as we loop the radar, a few tiny showers in some of our northeastern counties. Most likely, very little of that is actually reaching the ground. Instead, we're beginning to see a few holes in the clouds in a couple of spots. Chapel Hill is still cloudy and cool. You can see everybody out there for the most part in long sleeves and long pants as our temperatures are cool. But take a look at our high-resolution satellite. Notice where we're starting to see some clearing down here in the Sandhills, Fayetteville. For example, we're seeing some clearing across parts of Moore County and a few minor holes in the clouds north of Raleigh. Take a look at Pinehurst. You can see some shadows out there. It almost looks like it's gray, but there's a little bit of blue that's starting to peek through there, a little bit more when I pulled this up just about 5 minutes ago. So we're starting to see some thin spots, some holes in the clouds. Watch what happens as we see the cold front come through. That will happen at about 4 to 5 o'clock. A few isolated showers pop up. This latest run of the computer model shows most of that east of the triangle. So along and east of I-95, we can see a few scattered showers for a couple of hours from say maybe 4 to 6, 7 o'clock. And then we continue to see some clearing from west to east. Right now it is 65 degrees at RDU. Our dew point is 59. We will see our temperatures likely climbing on up into the mid 70s, especially where we could see some clearing later this afternoon. But it's a very small chance for rain as we head through the afternoon, especially for our eastern counties where it's about a 20% chance. Our next best chance comes on Halloween. I'll show you the timeline and if it could affect trick-or-treaters coming up.
Today, WakeMed expanded its medical mission to open the Center for Community Health. The center was created to better address diverse needs and longstanding health inequities in Southeast Raleigh. WakeMed leaders call it an innovative healthcare model designed to meet both mental and physical needs of its patients. Medical Director Dr. Brian Klausner says it requires a close relationship with the hospital and other community partners.
What this model does is it works closely with our hospital to identify those patients who need the most help, those patients who don't have connections, who are really sick.
The new community health center is designed to help those with many social barriers to health, including those experiencing homelessness, a lack of insurance, access to medications, and transportation.
Happening today, the Biden administration is launching a nationwide tour to encourage people to get the updated COVID vaccine. The Department of Health and Human Services is working with national and community-based organizations for the Vax Up America tour. Officials plan to host pop-up vaccination clinics and distribute information about COVID-19 vaccines. With the midterm election less than 2 weeks away, inflation, heat waves, and hurricane recovery are in the headlines. Environmental experts say all those issues are linked to a changing climate.
This morning, 2 Duke experts discussed why climate change matters when people cast their ballots this election season. WRAL's Ken Smith listened in on that discussion. He joins us now with some of the key takeaways. Ken.
Jeff and Renee, a recent survey by Yale University found a majority of voters prefer political candidates who will take action on climate change. Both experts work in environmental issues at Duke University. Jeffrey Henderson and Kate Jowers talked about the shift from 2016 election cycle to 2020 and right now ahead of the midterms in terms of how people care about climate change. Both say there's also a growing number of environmental groups that helped catapult climate change onto the national agenda. But as far as the ballot box goes, Henderson and Jowers say voting is only part of the equation to get more politicians to support climate change reform.
But voting is just the beginning. It doesn't actually send a specific signal to policymakers about which issues constituents are most concerned with. So to convey constituents' preferences, the best way to do that is to get involved in a grassroots organization.
And here's something else to keep in mind when it comes to the Latinx community. Spanish-speaking voters listed the environment as a top 5 concern. Experts believe that's largely due to extreme weather conditions like heat waves and hurricanes impacting job security. Now, both Duke experts agree candidates are increasingly tapping into climate change issues to attract younger voters. And they say the best way to get your voices heard is to pick up the phone and call your local lawmaker.
As well as another angle. Good reason to vote. All right, Ken, thank you.
This afternoon marks a big step in Cumberland County. The new Emergency Services Center is opening on Executive Place in Fayetteville, not far from Hillcrest Middle School. This will be the home of all 911 communications in Cumberland County. Today marks the end of a 6-year process to create a new state-of-the-art facility for Cumberland County's emergency response efforts. The county bought the building from the Department of Defense and started to transform the space.
Lessons learned from previous disasters that we've worked, Hurricane Matthew, Hurricane Florence, both just really proved to us that our space for Emergency Operations Center needs to be a lot more elaborate and robust.
And they'll be ready for the next emergency. The ribbon cutting ceremony is set to take place at 2 p.m. Tonight, you can learn more about a plan to send students to different schools in Wake County. Under the current plan, Wake County schools could reassign students from 50 schools across the district. It's still unclear how many students would have to change schools, but the change is not expected to be drastic. A virtual information session is happening tonight at 6. It will be the last one before a public hearing next month.
Governor Roy Cooper is headed to Charlotte this afternoon to promote digital equity in North Carolina. Earlier this year, Microsoft launched a new dashboard to help states track where that divide is the largest. This afternoon, the governor will be at the company's site in Charlotte to highlight new initiatives. That meeting is at 2 o'clock. Could the Dow rally for a 4th straight day? It looks pretty good right now, constantly in the positive throughout the day. Up 273 is where it sits right now. NASDAQ struggling just a bit. It is down just about 40 right now. The S&P 500 is in positive territory, marginally up 18 points.
And happening right now in the WRAL Live Center, former Trump White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows has been ordered by a court to testify in the Georgia 2020 election meddling probe. Meadows does plan to appeal this ruling. That is what his attorney is saying. But he's been trying to avoid appearing before a grand jury investigating election meddling by Trump and his allies. A Fulton County district attorney opened the investigation early last year into actions that were taken by Trump and others to overturn his loss to now President Joe Biden. Meadows is one of a number of high-profile associates and advisors of the Republican former presidents whose testimonies that this district attorney is looking into. We have the full article right now up on WRAL.com.
The Powerball jackpot just keeps growing bigger. The top prize for tonight's drawing is now at $700 million. That makes it the fifth largest Powerball prize in the game's 30-year history. No one has hit the grand prize in the last 35 drawings, dating back to early August. You can watch tonight's Powerball drawing right here on WRAL at 11 p.m. Next at noon, the dangers of Halloween face paint, the toxins found in some types of paint, and an alternative so you can stay safe.
Also, don't mess with space, the new device designed to remove tons of space junk.
Plus, feisty debates highlighted the political landscape ahead of the midterms, the themes that took center stage.
Download the new WRAL streaming apps on Roku, Fire TV, Apple TV, and Android TV.
In less than 30 minutes, Greensboro police are expected to hold a news conference about a deadly night near the campus of North Carolina A&T University. 7 people were shot, 2 are dead, including a freshman at the university. Officers responded to the first incident around 11:30 last night at an apartment complex near the university. Both victims died. Later, police found 4 more victims arrived at a hospital with gunshot wounds as well. 20 minutes later, and just miles away, police responded to a second shooting. At that scene, they found 1 person shot who was then taken to the hospital. Closer to home, NC State has expanded counseling services on campus today after the death of a student. School officials did not give details about the student's death yesterday morning, only saying that foul play is not suspected. Counseling services will be provided in the Tally Student Union until 2 today. The school is also offering a state of wellness discussion and an open forum next Tuesday night from 6 to 7, also in the Tally Student Union.
Halloween is a time for spooky thrills, but toxic ingredients in some of your kids' face paints and powders are the real scare. Arsenic, cadmium, chromium, and lead were found in Halloween face paint kits as part of a 2016 investigation by the Breast Cancer Fund. In 2020, the Environmental Working Group found asbestos in a toy makeup kit. Makeup and cosmetics are regulated by the U.S. Food and Drug Administration. So how do these dangerous toxins make it onto store shelves?
Well, unlike its oversight of food or drugs, the FDA actually has very little power to regulate the safety of cosmetic ingredients. It surveys products that are already on the market, but it does not approve their safety beforehand.
So your best bet might be to skip the store-bought stuff altogether. Search for DIY makeup recipes online that use face moisturizer, cornstarch, and natural coloring so that you know exactly what is going on to your child's skin.
Space, the final frontier. Some scientists also call it the final dumping ground for tons of technological debris. Marianne Rafferty takes a look at the device, promising to make space cleaner and more sustainable.
Earth isn't the only thing man is polluting. Scientists are now pointing to the overwhelming amount of broken satellites, rocket parts, and other debris littering the final frontier. But British-based company ClearSpace says its claw-like craft can help remove the junk.
If you think about a car, if it breaks down or runs out of fuel, we do something about it. We fix it, we refuel it, we use it again. In space, we don't do that. We treat satellites as a single-use item.
ClearSpace's device features a retractable claw designed to grab debris and guide it to a lower orbit, where it will safely burn and disintegrate in the atmosphere. NASA says it's monitoring more than 27,000 pieces of space debris orbiting close to the Earth. Because the objects move at such a fast speed, the agency warns of catastrophic results if the debris were to strike a rocket also moving at rapid rates.
We really need to think about how we make sure our space activities are sustainable.
ClearSpace is preparing for its first mission in the next 3 to 4 years, where it will clear a piece of floating debris belonging to the European Space Agency. But besides getting rid of space junk, the company's craft will also be able to help restore failing satellites.
We see that lots of satellites are still functioning but run out of fuel. And without fuel, they can't keep operating.
That was Marianne Rafferty reporting. The market for cleaning space debris and preventing collisions is expected to grow quickly. Analysts estimate the industry to be worth more than $14 billion by the year 2030. NASA plans to launch the rocket ship Artemis 1 into space. It's part of the plan to get Americans back onto the moon for the first time in 5 decades. In our next half hour, we'll show you the training that's underway in the Arizona desert to prepare for these future moon missions. Always something going on with NASA and always something happening with our weather. Today, we're waiting on that cold front with all those gray skies out there. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner is tracking our weather.
And you may not notice when the cold front comes through. Sometimes we notice it because we have a big line of thunderstorms that comes through, or the temperature drops very rapidly or something like that. We have a lot of cloud cover and a few holes in the clouds out there right now. Not much rain, though. A couple of sprinkles showing up on radar in our northeastern counties. But for the most part, there's really not much rain showing up with this front. Let's back up and you can see where it is right now. It's moving across the Triad area, and you can see there's really no rain with it whatsoever. It's possible that by, say, 4 or 5 o'clock this afternoon, when the front actually crosses into eastern North Carolina, there would be a few showers that pop up. The reason for that is we are starting to see a few breaks in the clouds. Of course, just a few minutes ago, I showed you the satellite view where we're beginning to see a few holes in the clouds and spots. So once that cold front moves across an area where we've seen a little bit of clearing, then we could end up seeing a little bit of rain along with that. This is lunchtime, and you can see the cold front just to our west, lots of cloud cover. It sweeps through here, and about 4 o'clock, we begin to see some isolated showers popping up along and east of I-95, and then we'll start to see some clearing back to the west. By 5, 6 o'clock, we'll start to see, say, Durham to Southern Pines, seeing a bit more sunshine, and then that clearing will continue as we head through the evening. But a lot of folks probably won't see much sunshine today because that cold front won't sweep through until after sunset. So it's going to be a decent day tomorrow after all this moves on out. A little bit of light rain, mainly east of the Triangle area. That's what we're going to see today. It's not going to be enough to really measure in the rain gauges. And it's possible that Friday night we'd see a quick sprinkle, or Sunday night. But Monday will bring us our next best chance for rain. And of course, Monday is Halloween. Yesterday, it looked like maybe the rain would hold off and kids would get to go out and trick or treat, and then the rain would arrive. It looks like it's going to arrive a little faster than that. So that could put trick or treat time in jeopardy. But we do have a lot of days to continue to watch it, a lot of runs of the computer models, so we'll keep our eye on it. And I'll show you one of the computer model runs coming up in just a little bit. 67 is our temperature, even with all that cloud cover. We have a southwesterly wind bringing some warm air on up into the region, and as long as we could break out of the clouds a little, our temperatures would climb into the mid-70s, but that may not happen until fairly late this afternoon. Right now it is 61 in Roxborough, 71 in Fayetteville, 72 in Clinton. This is an area where the clouds are a lot thinner, and we're seeing that sunshine warming things up. A lot warmer than yesterday. 10 degrees warmer in Fayetteville, 13 degrees warmer in Clinton than it was yesterday. But you can see from Durham westward, not much change, or it's a little bit cooler. So this afternoon, depending on who sees sunshine, those temperatures will mainly climb into the 70s. And then tomorrow, everybody sees sunshine, and our highs will be in the low to mid 70s across the area. We're going to see all that warm air that's with us right now starting to slide eastward over the next few days, and our temperatures will end up being close to normal. Normal this time of year is in the upper 60s. So we're looking at 66 Saturday, 68 on Sunday. Most of the Halloween weekend looks good until we get to Monday. And of course, at that point, it looks like we'll have a better chance of some scattered showers and thunderstorms. And as I mentioned, we'll walk through Monday in particular, and I'll show you right now what it looks like in terms of our rain.
Happening now in the Live Center, a Wisconsin man who plowed through a Christmas parade in downtown Waukesha, Wisconsin last year has been found guilty of killing 6 people. A Waukesha County jury found Darrell Brooks Jr. guilty on 6 counts of first-degree intentional homicide. This all comes 23 days after a trial in which Brooks actually represented himself. He faced 76 charges in total, including 61 counts of reckless endangerment. Authorities said he drove his vehicle right through the parade. Despite police warnings to stop, officers opening fire on him as well. 6 people, including an 8-year-old boy, were killed. More than 40 others were injured in this.
Michelle, thanks. Since 2019, Wake County has lost 59% of housing units with rent below $750 a month. But tonight at 4, the county has secured a multi-million-dollar initiative that could help improve affordable housing options. WRAL's Matt Tallhelm explains how.
Then at 6, a youth football team in Durham trying to keep kids away from violence needs a new place to practice due to safety concerns in that area. Durham reporter Sarah Kruger is looking into the options for the Bull City Bulldogs. And still this noon, caution, scary prices ahead. How much your Halloween sweet treats could cost you at checkout.
And when it comes to vacations, fall is the new summer. How the pandemic shifted attitudes toward travel.
You could be in for a scare when you go to buy Halloween candy, and Amazon has a new way for you to pay. Those are among today's business headlines with Maribel Aber.
You'll soon be able to pay with Venmo on Amazon. The option is already being rolled out to some customers, and Amazon says Venmo will be available for all U.S. shoppers by Black Friday. Just add a Venmo account, and the payment method will be offered as an option at checkout. Owned by PayPal, Venmo has grown to include almost 90 million users. That's according to the company. Coca-Cola's products may look a bit different next year. The company plans to add more varieties of cans, bottles, and value packs. Coke is already selling smaller containers and multi-packs with fewer cans. It's a way to give cash-strapped consumers more options to spend less. The shoppers may end up paying more per liter with the smaller containers or packages, but it's a trade-off some are willing to make to get a lower price. Halloween candy prices may give you a scare this year. Overall candy prices are up more than 13% from a year ago, according to data from the Labor Department. Soaring costs for flour, sugar, and labor are partly to blame. That assembly, which tracks product information, says Skittles has seen a 42% price increase since last year. But some companies are trying to keep candy affordable. For Halloween, Hershey says it hasn't raised prices since June. And those are your business headlines. I'm Maribel Aber at the NASDAQ market site.
Maribel, thanks. A new congressional report reveals why some employees quit their jobs during the pandemic. The agency found that employees were more likely to quit their jobs if they worked at a company that didn't have sick pay or family leave. The House Select Subcommittee on the coronavirus crisis analyzed data from 12 large firms. The report found workers who did not have sick leave left their jobs at 3 to 4 times the rate of other workers before the pandemic. The chairman says the report highlights the need for a universal paid leave program. Workers will need about $1.2 million to retire comfortably. That's up 20% from last year. A financial firm found roughly 4 in 10 people say they don't think they'll have enough when they retire. Many are also concerned about whether they can rely on Social Security checks.
Survivors and rescuers speak out as officials reveal new details about the St. Louis school shooter.
Plus, how will the end of October political debates impact the midterm elections? We'll take a look. First, here's a look at your winning lottery numbers.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
We now turn to St. Louis and the latest on the investigation into that deadly high school shooting. Today, police are shedding new light on what may have led a former student to carry out the rampage. NBC's Emily Ikeda reports from the school.
Armed with this AR-15 style weapon and an arsenal of ammunition, police say the St. Louis school shooter's rampage could have caused far more bloodshed had officers not arrived within minutes.
It appears that he came into the building with more than 600 rounds of ammunition.
The chilling details emerging as police examine the suspect's trail of evidence, including a handwritten notebook from the accused killer Orlando Harris's car. Police say the 19-year-old wrote, "I've been an isolated loner my entire life. This was the perfect storm for a mass shooter."
You heard boom, 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 boom.
Math teacher Ashley Wrench recalled the sounds of gunfire right outside her classroom.
I really credit my students a lot because even with the gunshots that close, him pulling on the door, trying to get in, they did not scream. They just huddled together.
Wrench knew both of the victims. St. Louis Public Schools identifying teacher Jean Kuska, who's being hailed a hero for reportedly standing in front of students to protect them, and sophomore Alexandria Bell, dying just weeks before her 16th birthday.
A very bright student, very charismatic, beautiful spirit, a wonderful dancer.
This morning, a growing memorial outside the school, still riddled with grim reminders of a terror the community will never forget. In a now viral tweet, parent Michael Bishop said, when he learned of an active shooter at his daughter's school, I jumped in my car and drove 100 miles per hour down the wrong way of Kings Highway.
In those moments you didn't hear from her, can you describe what that's like?
It's heart-wrenching that these kids are here trying to get educated and trying to build their future, and this is what they have to deal with.
It was Emily Aketa reporting there. A Winston-Salem nurse is in jail this morning, charged with killing 2 female patients by giving them lethal doses of insulin. Investigators say Jonathan Hayes was a nurse at Atrium Health Wake Forest Baptist Medical Center. They say in December, a woman was given a near-fatal dose of insulin, and then in January, 2 women died days after receiving insulin doses. An investigation into Hayes was launched in March.
As soon as we identified a deviation in patient care as part of our established safety protocols, we took immediate action to remove the employee from the patient care environment and terminated his employment.
Hayes is charged with murder and attempted murder. While prosecutors say it does not appear that he knew any of the women, they have not revealed a motive in the case.
Fiery debates last night in several key states where races for Senate and governor are close and getting closer. As Molly Hennenberg reports, with millions having already voted, what difference will these late debates make?
In the Pennsylvania Senate race between Democratic Lieutenant Governor John Fetterman and Republican Dr. Mehmet Oz, much of the analysis after this sole debate was focused on Fetterman's ability to handle the fast-paced back and forth after he suffered a stroke right before the Democratic primary in May. Fetterman's camp said he had a, quote, great debate.
John spoke better tonight than he did in the primary.
The Oz team said Fetterman is too, quote, extreme for Pennsylvania.
We saw tonight a debate that was a complete disaster for John Fetterman.
2 weeks before the midterms, there were also debates last night in New York. This was the only debate for the governor's race there. And in Michigan, this was the second and final debate in that race for governor. Nationwide, more than 11 million people have already voted in the midterms. And in states with late October debates, that can be a problem.
A lot of people have already cast their ballot. That's why it was political malpractice to only have one debate at the end of October.
This one gentleman said to me, this is why I'm glad I don't early vote, because you don't really realize all the things that can come out before Election Day.
That was Molly Hennenberg reporting. The Pennsylvania Senate race is so tight that President Biden and former President Obama will both be campaigning for Fetterman in the days just before the election.
And Renee, with less than 2 weeks until Election Day, both Republican and Democratic candidates are banking on prominent figures to help bolster support. Texas Senator Ted Cruz made a stop in Johnston County, stumping for Republican U.S. Senate candidate Ted Budd and political newcomer Bo Hines. Singer Dave Matthews headlined an acoustic event to support Democrats and U.S. Senate candidate Sherry Beasley. As candidates make their final pitches to voters, political experts are trying to predict overall voter turnout.
Democrats have used early voting and mail-in or absentee voting to a higher degree than Republicans. And then Republicans have sort of made up the difference and sometimes exceeded that difference on Election Day voting.
November 5th is the last day for early voting in North Carolina. Election Day is November 8th.
Still to come, making children feel seen and heard. The special way our Teacher of the Week works with students with special needs.
Plus, animals caught in comedic and candid moments. These images are some of the finalists in a national contest for the funniest wildlife pictures. And Raleigh photographer is in the running. We'll show you her 2 submissions coming up. Our team is working to bring you exclusive stories. For coverage you'll find only on WRAL, visit WRAL.com and search only. Our Our Teacher of the Week discovered her calling in the classroom. WRAL's Brian Schrader introduces us to a Wake County educator who has devoted her life to making sure all students feel included.
Courtney Smith never planned to become a teacher. She wanted to get into media, but she started substitute teaching in a special education class, and she hasn't looked back. Smith is teaching now at Dillard Drive Magnet Elementary.
I have 10 kids in here in a special ed classroom, and I love them. Seeing these kids make milestones and make progress with, goals and learning academics that, come natural to you and I think seeing that is what brings me back every day.
Smith also serves at a summer camp in Vermont, helping children with autism enjoy an inclusive experience. For her, teaching these children is more than just a job.
I'm the type of person, I can't turn it off. It's just who I am.
Courtney Smith is WRAL's Teacher of the Week. I'm Brian Schrader, WRAL News.
And you can look at all the honored teachers and nominate a teacher you'd like for us to recognize by going to WRAL.com and enter Teacher of the Week in the search box.
A Raleigh photographer is in the running for a national award thanks to a few candid pictures. When Raleigh photographer Jennifer Hadley captured these striking images, she had no idea they would be among 40 finalists in the 2022 Comedy Wildlife Photography Awards. There's no doubt that penguin was telling the other to talk to the fin, and the lion cub, well, wasn't his finest hour. A faceplant. Hadley has taken photos in 52 countries and 6 continents. She strives to protect and respect animals as she works.
I just want people to see how amazing these animals are and how they have these whole lives that are sometimes secret to us, and just to appreciate them and to fight for them.
Such a unique glimpse into their life. You can learn more about the contest and vote for your favorite image on WRAL.com. I'm going with Sassy Penguin.
That is so good. Tonight, a local nonprofit will host a powerful art event to shine the light on addiction and promote recovery. Healing Transitions kicks off its second annual fundraising event tonight at 6 at Dorothea Dix Park Chapel. The Art of Recovery event features artwork from local artists who are in recovery or have been affected by addiction. This year's theme is Expressions of Hope. After 3 failed launch attempts, NASA will attempt to launch Artemis 1 again next month. How training is underway now here on Earth for future moon missions. Plus,
I'm here just moving out of my house, and there's a gator in the carport.
So what would you do? Tell you what, I would run. One resident decided to call her neighbor. We'll tell you what happened next. Seeing a lot of gray skies in Raleigh and all across the Triangle. You're looking live at downtown Raleigh at the State Legislative Building and watching WRAL News, available on Hulu and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device. Invaded by massive insects there. A new report finds government and companies are still ramping up fossil fuel use despite the threats to the environment. The annual Lancet Countdown report on health and climate change found many governments are undermining efforts to reverse climate change. The report shows governments are failing to deliver on promises to transition to clean energy. Researchers say this is not only hurting the environment, it's making it harder for families to afford escalating energy bills. NASA says its search for planets that may host life is narrowing. A new study found the most common type of star in our universe, an M dwarf, is not able to handle nearby planets that could support life. Scientists had been hoping those stars would be surrounded by planets with atmospheres that are suitable for the creation of life.
In just less than a month, NASA plans to launch the rocket ship Artemis 1 into space. It's part of the plan to get Americans back on the moon for the first time in 5 decades. Giovanni Lighi shows us the training that's underway in the Arizona desert to prepare for these future moon missions.
About an hour from the Grand Canyon here in northern Arizona, NASA is working on a moon rover that will be used for future Artemis missions.
We're starting by testing here on Earth, and then we're moving on to testing on the moon, and then using the moon as a stepping stone onto Mars.
The moon rover can crab walk and quickly turn directions. This allows crew to explore parts of the moon with rough terrain. crew will also be able to live inside of it for up to 2 weeks.
We are contributing in a very small way to determining how to explore the lunar surface and then on to Mars as part of Artemis.
NASA calls it a space exploration vehicle, and unlike the Apollo moon rover, this newer version can let the astronauts go on multiple short moonwalks. This will let the crew explore more parts of the moon faster than before.
We'll be at the lunar South Pole region, and so there's a whole different set of geology and lessons to be learned from exploring a whole different part of the moon than before.
Pretty cool training grounds right there. That was Giovanni Lighi reporting. The moon rover will be used for future Artemis missions. One of those is Artemis 3, which will put the first woman and first person of color on the moon.
Well, this is exciting. There's another chance for Carolina Hurricanes fans to watch their team play outdoors in February. More tickets have been released for the outdoor game at Carter Finley Stadium on February 18th against the Washington Capitals. Tickets are available through Ticketmaster. It's not clear how many will be available. But listen to this. Earlier this month, the Canes sold out of their original allotment of just over 18,000 tickets within 3 hours, completely sold out. That's when the team begged for more tickets. The NHL gave them an additional 30,000. Or an additional, I should say, 15,000, making it 30,000 total. Season ticket holders bought all of them, so they were sold out again. That is why they are adding more tickets. Capacity at Carter Finley is expected to be 51,500. That is a lot of screaming hockey fans. A lot of hockey fans that will have to bundle up for that game in February. But not today. Today's a different story. It's feeling nice out there, Elizabeth.
You would look outside and think, oh, it must be chilly out there. And it's not really warm, but it's not that cold either. We have a good flow coming up from the south, just keeping things on the mild side right now. It is gray, though, in Apex as we take a look down Salem Street. But it isn't gray everywhere. Take a look at Clinton. Look at that blue sky looking absolutely beautiful there in Clinton. And our temperatures have really started to warm up here in Clinton. It's possible that we could hit 80 degrees in a place like Clinton where we see a bit of sunshine before the cold front comes through. Here's a look at what's happening out there. You can see here around Fayetteville, over around Clinton. This is where we're seeing some sunshine right down there in our southern counties. Nice little dry air being entrained up ahead of our front. Our front has already passed by the mountains. You can see how those clouds are starting to break up again here. So the front is going to be somewhere right around here. That front's going to move through our area mid to late afternoon, and then we'll see some clearing behind it, but it may be slow enough moving through that we don't end up seeing much more clearing in our eastern counties. A lot of those folks are seeing some sunshine right now. So hopefully it'll even out a little bit and everybody will see a little bit of sunshine before the day is over. Again, here's our front right now. It is moving really almost to the Triad area. It is not producing really any rain at this point, but as it moves into this area where it's a little more clear, it's possible that we would have enough instability there to end up seeing a chance of some showers. So here's a look at lunchtime right now. We see that cold front moving through 3, 4, 5 o'clock, and Futurecast still showing that potential for a few isolated showers along the front, and then that's really out of the viewing area by the time we get to, say, 7 o'clock or so, and we'll continue to see the clearing off behind it. So let's jump ahead to Monday, because that's going to be our next best chance for rain. This is looking like a more potent system. It's going to grab a lot of moisture from the Gulf of Mexico. Showers, thunderstorms likely. It could last into Tuesday, and we could see up to an inch to an inch and a half of rain with this. So here's the low moving up out of the south. It will help to push some moisture out ahead of it, but not really until Monday. So here's Monday morning with a little bit of patchy light rain. There's Monday at 7 p.m. and you could see some rain sitting right over the triangle area. At that point, it doesn't look like a whole lot of rain, but our rain chances during the time of trick or treat are higher than they were this time yesterday. So the timing's still uncertain. We're still watching it. We still have a number of days between now and Halloween to keep an eye on it. We do have this flow of moisture that's coming up out of the Caribbean and just off the coast of the United States. A 20% chance that it could develop in the next few days and a 30% chance in the next 5 days. So that one doesn't look like it has a good shot at becoming a tropical system. If it did, it would still likely stay off the coast of the United States. After today's front, tomorrow's on the mild side, but we do turn cooler for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The weekend looks dry. The mornings will be cool. Temperatures in the mid to upper 40s for Friday, Saturday, and Sunday mornings, but that's still well above freezing. So nothing dramatic coming. Of course, the big focus will be going forward. What will happen on Monday?
I was like, oh my God, are you okay?
Coming up, how a neighbor's alligator encounter ended with a visit to the hospital.
And here are your winning Mega Millions numbers from last night. 21, 30, 35, 45, 66. The Mega Ball 21. The Mega Plier was 3. We wrap things up with a look at a few of the headlines we are following for you today. Just hours ago, Wake County officially launched a new multi-million-dollar initiative to save affordable housing. Wake commissioners say investors are purchasing housing units at a faster pace and raising rents. The city of Raleigh has also committed $4 million to expand this effort within city limits.
We've learned more about the person who was hit and killed last night in North Raleigh. 65-year-old Jose Mejia died in that crash on Fox Road. Police say 51-year-old Wilson Holiday was driving while impaired. The department says just before 5 o'clock, Holiday ran off the right side of Fox Road and hit Mejia, who died later at the hospital.
I-885 North in Durham, the East End connector, is back open after a tractor-trailer driver fell asleep at the wheel and crashed into a road sign. This happened around 1 a.m. near exit 10 for Highway 70. Investigators say the truck went through the guardrail, hit a sign, flipped over, and went into a ditch. The driver was taken to the hospital. It's not clear yet if that driver will face charges. And a word to the wise, if you see an alligator in your driveway, don't try to remove it yourself. A Florida man is nursing some injuries after trying to remove a 4-foot alligator from his neighbor's residence. The homeowner was moving out when she noticed that reptile underneath a U-Haul truck in the carport. She made a quick decision to get a neighbor who she thought would have the right tools to handle the situation.
He's a dog trainer, so he came out with like gloves and a sweatshirt. Like he kind of knew what he was doing, but that gator was fast. He moved too fast. It just didn't go well.
Yeah. Alligators have more teeth than dogs, so someone had a broomstick. They used it to help pry open that gator's mouth so they could get the man's arm out.
Wow.
The Florida Wildlife Commission confirms the man tried to remove the alligator himself and sustained those injuries to his arm. The alligator was eventually relocated to a safer area.
If you're looking for a super sweet, friendly, and playful kitty to warm your lap, look no further. Meet Angus Baker. We're told that within an hour of arriving at his foster home, he was already in his foster mom's lap. And when he's not cuddling, Angus enjoys wand toys, fuzzy mice, and looking out the window. This 2-year-old is neutered, microchipped, and fully vaccinated. If you want to meet him, just fill out the application on the Cat Angels website.
We hear it every hurricane season. It's called the cone of uncertainty, but a new study finds most people misunderstand what it means for risk. Today on WRAL News at 4, we'll explain what the public needs to know about this.
WRAL News will return at 4, but you can get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app.
All right, enjoy it. We're almost getting to 70 degrees out there. Have a good one.
Local news doesn't stop here. Coverage continues across all major streaming platforms using the WRAL app and on WRAL.com.